The morning sun crept weakly through the glass walls of Sterling Tech, scattering its pale light across the spotless lobby. Employees hurried past, clutching coffee cups and unfinished dreams, their footsteps echoing the rhythm of another restless day. But one woman walked slower than the rest. Emily Carter, 28 years old, quiet, and always the first to arrive and the last to leave, moved as if the air itself had turned heavy. Her eyes were red from a sleepless night, her hands trembling as she held the cold rail inside the elevator. That morning, fear had found a home in her chest. Rumors were spreading like wildfire. The company was downsizing. 2 people would be fired by the end of the week. And Emily, she had a secret she couldn't afford to lose her job over. A secret growing quietly inside her, a baby. She'd been working late hours despite her morning sickness, doing everything she could to hide the truth. But in a place where competition thrived, secrets never stayed hidden for long. When the elevator doors opened, Emily whispered a small prayer. She didn't know how she'd pay rent or feed herself if she lost this job, let alone prepare for the little heartbeat depending on her. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us to be human, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to HQ Infinite Stories for more real emotional tales. Nathan Hale, the CEO of Sterling Tech, was a man carved from stone, sharp, disciplined, and unshakably professional. He had built the company from the ground up and had little patience for excuses, so when he called Emily into his office that morning, her stomach dropped. The room felt too bright, too still. Nathan barely looked up as he scrolled through his tablet. "Emily," he said at last, his tone distant but controlled. "You've always been reliable, but lately, your work's been slipping. You've missed deadlines, left early twice, and your last report had errors. That's not like you." The words cut deep. Emily tried to speak, but her throat tightened. She wanted to tell him about the endless nausea, the exhaustion, the fear, but how could she explain without sounding weak? Then came the words she dreaded. "Layoffs." Her voice cracked before she could stop herself. "Please, don't fire me. I'm pregnant." The silence that followed was deafening. Nathan froze, the tablet still in his hand. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She hadn't meant to say it. Not like that. Not in front of her boss in a glass office where secrets had no walls. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I can't lose this job. I have no one else." Nathan looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. Beneath the trembling and tears, he saw a reflection of something he hadn't faced in years. 6 years ago, he had lost his wife and unborn child in an accident. Since then, he'd built walls around his heart. Thick, unbreakable walls made of work and silence. But Emily's words cracked them. He set his tablet down and stood. "Sit down, Emily," he said gently. His voice had changed. It was no longer the voice of a boss, but of a man remembering what empathy felt like. Emily sat, trembling, tears slipping down her cheeks. Nathan asked nothing at first. He just listened, really listened, as she told him how the baby's father had left, how she had no family, no safety net, and how every late night was a fight to survive. For the first time in years, Nathan's heart ached, not out of anger, but compassion. That day, he didn't fire her. He told her to take the rest of the week off. Emily left the office in disbelief, relief, and confusion mixing into tears she couldn't hold back. Something had changed that day, something far bigger than mercy. Over the next few weeks, Nathan quietly kept an eye on her. He saw her staying late, skipping meals, pushing herself past exhaustion. She reminded him of someone, his late wife, strong, determined, kind, beyond reason. One afternoon, when Emily fainted at her desk, Nathan rushed her to the hospital himself. He waited outside, pacing like a worried father. The doctor's words hit him hard. "She's been overworking herself. The stress could harm the baby." That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He thought about how his company had become cold, efficient, and heartless. He thought about how many Emilys had walked through those doors, scared and unseen. The next morning, he made a decision. Not for profit. For people, he called a company-wide meeting and announced new policies, extended maternity leave, better healthcare, and flexible hours for single parents. The office fell silent, stunned, and at the back of the room, Emily stood frozen, tears in her eyes. After the meeting, Nathan walked up to her and said softly, "You reminded me that this company and I needed a heart again." From that day on, everything began to change. Emily helped Nathan design programs for working mothers. Her confidence grew, her laughter returned. Nathan found himself admiring her strength, not with romance, but with respect. She'd rekindled something inside him he thought was gone forever. Hope. Months later, the office threw Emily a baby shower. Nathan attended, quietly smiling, as laughter filled the room. When she handed him a small white box, he opened it to find a tiny pair of baby shoes. "You didn't just save my job," she said, eyes glistening. "You saved my hope." Nathan felt tears sting his eyes. For years, he'd believed kindness was a weakness, but Emily and her unborn child proved it was strength. When her baby girl was born, she named her Grace because, as Emily said, "Grace is what saved me." Nathan visited the hospital. holding the newborn in his arms, feeling tears he hadn't shed in years. "You've changed more than you'll ever know," he whispered. Months later, Emily returned to work, stronger, radiant, unafraid. Nathan promoted her to team lead, and her story spread through the company like light through glass. Years passed. Grace grew up running through the office halls, laughing as Nathan, now more like a grandfather, chased after her with a smile. The man who once lived behind walls of grief now lived surrounded by laughter and love. And Emily, once a woman on the edge of despair, had become the heart of the company that once nearly broke her. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HQ Infinite Stories, because sometimes one act of kindness really can change everything.